What if I told you that the fear that's been holding you back isn't actually an enemy? We all think it is. What if it's actually trying to protect you? And what if simply giving it a name could completely transform your relationship with it? Well, today I'm going to show you how to turn fear from your controller into your companion. And it starts with something that I like to call the Fred framework. Most of what we hear about fear sounds like this: feel the fear and do it anyway, push through it, overcome it. All good advice. But here's the problem: this actually creates a battle inside of us. We're essentially fighting with a part of ourselves, trying to ignore our fear when it feels bigger than we are. This is kind of what courage is, but it's not the full power of how courage can feel. It still seems as if we're not in control. The real issue isn't fear itself now, it's our relationship with fear. Think about it. Fear was designed to protect us. When our ancestors heard a rustle in the bushes, kept them alive. The problem is our fear response can't tell the difference between a saber-toothed tiger about to attack and how it feels to know that we need to speak up in a meeting. Because of what happens inside of us, it treats both of those situations as if they're life-threatening. Think of it like having an overprotective friend who means well, but is constantly pulling you back from experiences that you need in order to grow, in order to feel as if you're alive, making progress. For most of my life, Fred was like this. I like to think of this because I have a very active imagination, but this is how I got my head around it. Fear was like a fire-breathing dragon flying around my castle, my life, keeping me safe inside my comfort zone. The dragon would swoop down, breathing flames and yelling warnings anytime I tried to venture beyond the castle walls, outside my comfort zone. Don't try that, you're going to fail. Don't say anything. They're going to reject you. Stay where it's safe. Don't you know that the world is a dangerous place? The dragon seemed powerful and intimidating. I believed every word it said because I thought I was supposed to. And so the result was this: I stayed small, stayed hidden, stayed safe, but I also stayed stuck. Everything changed when I heard Rory Ray, a relationship coach, share this amazing idea, which I have never forgotten. She said, yes, fear is going to be there when you try to step out and do something you've never done before. Then she said this, which was brilliant advice: shrink your fear down to a little guy who is your protector, but worries a lot, thinks every situation is life or death. Tell him that you hear him and you appreciate his concern, but you're not going to die. This is not one of those situations. You're just nervous about doing this thing, whatever it is. Then tell him to go over there in the corner and eat a cookie because you need to do this. This completely shifted my perspective. I could actually transform that terrifying dragon into something manageable, something I could tame, something I could talk to. So that's exactly what I did. I shrunk my fire-breathing dragon down into a cute little Disney type character and named him Fred. He looks kind of like this. Although this is a unicorn, but sometimes dragons can turn into unicorns, right? Suddenly, my fear wasn't the overwhelming force that was controlling my life. It was just Fred, well-meaning, a bit dramatic, and completely convinced that speaking up in a meeting might actually kill me. Fred isn't really trying to hurt me. He's just desperately trying to keep me safe. That's his job. He's like that friend, like I said, who always imagines the worst case scenario because he cares. But here's what I've changed. Fred doesn't get to drive the car of my life anymore. He can come along for the ride, but he sits in the back seat. How has this changed everything in my life? And it literally has. At one time, I had somebody fairly close to me. It seemed to always have the opposite opinion of mine. You know what those people are like? When I suggested pulling, they suggested pushing. When I said red, they said black. They criticized how I looked in photos and expressed disappointment when I didn't spend my time the way they wanted me to. Slowly, I lost myself trying to please them and make their life comfortable. I was afraid that they didn't like me. I thought maybe I wasn't likable. This was a time when my fear of rejection was making all my decisions for me. In other words, the fire-breathing dragon was in complete control, constantly whispering, don't speak up. Don't have different opinions. Don't be difficult. If you're yourself, they won't love you. This went on until I finally talked to a coach about it. She said something that stopped me in my tracks. She said this: it's not only okay to be who you are, to have your own opinions and preferences, it's crucial. Having somebody in your life who tries to shape you into somebody you're not is never okay. She helped me to see that my fear of not being loved was keeping me so small, when who I truly am is amazing and wonderful and fun and loving. That's the gift I give to the world. And I needed to stand up for those gifts. That's where the Fred framework became invaluable to me. I recognized that the voice telling me to shrink myself wasn't me. It was my fire-breathing dragon trying to protect me from rejection. So I used my imagination and shrunk him down to Fred. And then I told him this: thank you for trying to protect me. I know that's your job and it's amazing protection. Couldn't stay alive without you. But I need to take control now. I'm not in danger of death. I'm in danger of feeling uncomfortable because I need to grow. I need to step outside my comfort zone. Yes, I might get hurt or feel shame or be embarrassed, but I need to do this to become more of who I am, who I'm meant to be. I know you'll always be here. And yes, you can ride with me in the car, but I want you to know this: you will always be in the back seat. You won't ever be driving. That's my job. Yes, I actually do have this conversation in my head whenever those sensations come up in my body that tell me I'm afraid. I say, this is fear. Then I ask what I'm afraid of. Sometimes it's rejection. Sometimes it's looking foolish. I'm thinking somebody won't respect me if I fail. But if it is rejection or allowing people to see that I'm not all-knowing or not perfect, I have to remind myself first that it won't kill me, for one thing. It might not feel good, but I'm not going to die. I will just be uncomfortable. I will learn something from it, and I'm brave enough to handle it because this is the only way you grow. This is the only way that you feel fully alive. When I finally realized what was happening in that relationship I told you about, all of my desire to be around that person disappeared. I said what I felt and I just walked away, free. It changed everything. Maybe not for the other person because they kept on as they were, but that was okay. It changed how I felt about myself. For the first time in years, I was driving my own life. We humans are amazing in that we can do this. We can step away and observe ourselves. Emotionally, expressing gratitude to Fred reduces that internal conflict we were talking about before. We're not fighting with ourselves. We're redirecting a well-meaning protective instinct. So much better, so much easier. This isn't about eliminating fear. We talked about that in the last video. That's neither possible nor desirable. It's about changing our relationship with the fear. Over time, what you see is something very fascinating happening. Fred, or fear, actually becomes a helpful advisor rather than a dictator. He still points out potential risks, thank goodness. That's good, but he does it in a way that keeps you in the loop rather than sending you into hiding in every situation. You get to decide what you do next. So let's practice applying the Fred framework to your life right now. Think of a current situation where fear is holding you back. Maybe it's having a difficult conversation with your boss, heaven forbid, or giving into your creative instincts and going full out on that Michelangelo project, or deciding, this was me, to get out there dating again because you were tired of being alone. So this is what I want you to think about. One, what warnings is your fear Fred giving you? Take a moment and jot those down. What you're going to hear is, if you do this, then this will happen. Classic Fred language. Second, write a thank you to Fred for his protection. Acknowledge what he's afraid might happen. Maybe he's afraid you'll get fired, or that nobody's going to love your Michelangelo and you'll look like a fool. Or maybe he's afraid there are no good guys left out there, so why go to the trouble? This brings us to 3. Clarify whether this is actual danger or you're afraid to step out of your comfort zone. Most of what Fred warns us about is discomfort, not danger. 4, finally, draft a statement about who is driving this car. Be kind, but firm. Your fear Fred needs to know you appreciate him, but you are the one in charge. You make the decisions about where you go from here. For example, let's say you're afraid to get out there dating again. Your dialogue might sound like, thank you, Fred, for trying to protect me from getting my heart broken again. I appreciate that you don't want me to be hurt or be taken advantage of. Neither do I. However, this isn't life-threatening. It's just uncomfortable. I might stumble over my words, or somebody might not choose me, but that's okay. It's all part of going for what I want. I need to go through the trial and error in order to find the love of my life. That's what I want. You can come with me, but I'll be focusing on the conversation and getting to know the other person, not listening to you. Because, I'm driving this car. Well, this works for life's biggest moments too. I've used the Fred dialogue when I was trying to decide if I should leave my paid job, when starting my coaching business, when setting boundaries in relationships that matter to me, and before even getting up on stage to speak. The key is consistent practice, making this a part of your life. Your fear Fred, actually, good news, gets quieter the more you dialogue with him. Or rather, his voice changes from panic screaming to thoughtful advice. Remember, you're not trying to eliminate fear. You're building a new relationship with it. Fred becomes a companion on your courage journey rather than a roadblock. So this week, I challenge you to shrink your dragon down to a cute little concerned friend and name him Fred, or whatever name resonates with you. And choose a stuffed animal that also resonates with you. And then try the dialogue when you feel afraid. I also encourage you to write a letter to your Fred, acknowledging his protection. The physical act of writing creates an even more powerful separation between you and your fear. Remember, standing back and observing, letting it be a separate entity from you. I would absolutely love to hear your comments. How might your life change if fear wasn't driving your decisions or driving your car? Next time, we'll build on this framework with a powerful tool called the 90-second rule, a simple timing trick that helps you to stop fear in its tracks. The video should be somewhere over here or here. Just look for it. I have used this trick a lot during difficult times when I literally felt as if I couldn't breathe. For example, standing on top of a zip line platform when I'm absolutely terrified of heights. Until then, remember, Fred is welcome on your journey. He just doesn't get to choose the destination.